Hoenn, Hoenn, Hoenn. It is the region that caused the most excitement and anticipation, from Gen 3 confirmed memes to the infamous Too Much Water reviews. Ever since I was a 13-year-old kid, sitting in that small cafe with my Game Boy in my hand, playing Pokemon Sapphire, it wasn't even my own copy. I'd borrowed it from a friend on the promise that I'd finish the game after he accidentally deleted his save. What started as just a borrowed adventure soon became something deeply personal. The world of Hoenn, its music, its landscapes, its mysteries, they pulled me in completely. The game didn't just pass the time, it shaped the way I saw adventure itself. It left an effect on me that never really faded. Since 2013, I've been mapping the entire Pokemon world onto real-world locations based on my own research, not just Bulbapedia. In February 2022, I began the journey in Kanto, finishing it in November that same year. After moving to central Japan, I continued through Johto, but it wasn't until I had a chance to visit Kyushu that I thought about doing the entire Hoenn trip in one single run. Explore Hoenn in 1 week? Madness! A rental car, hotels, boats? I may never financially recover from this, but the memories will be worth it. Hoenn is based on real-world Kyushu, but to fit the Game Boy Advance's horizontal display, the region was rotated 90 degrees anti-clockwise. It also includes Okinawa's main island, so the scale is massive. But for now, let's focus on Kyushu. Without any further ado, let's jump right in and start our adventure across the Hoenn region.
Severe weather is pounding southwestern Japan, where the highest level heavy rain warning is in force for parts of Kumamoto Prefecture.
Later, so utmost caution is necessary. Us continuing to stay all the way. It is a dangerous, very dangerous situation continuing, and even
Virtually, if not already, depending on where you are located, you may already be seeing landslides occurring in nearby where you are.
Guys, so the thing I feared the most actually happened. And that's the force of nature throwing a spanner in the works, putting a huge question mark on this entire Hoenn journey. And you know, there's always been the risk of storms, typhoons, earthquakes, tsunamis, especially in this part of the world and in this time of year, especially with typhoons. August, September, they tend to be very common. Now, storm fronts like this, you don't really get much prior warning apart from a couple of days. You don't really know how they're going to develop and what direction. You can predict it with forecast models, but it's nature. It's an inherently chaotic system. And what's been happening is you had this weather front that's been depositing huge amounts of rain, and this rainfall's been like landing in the entire region of Kyushu, causing indentation. The riverbanks have been swollen. The ground has been loosened. This causes mudslides, landslides, increases the risk of all of those things. So, you can see here. The issue is, how do I get to here when you have this purple emergency order, yellow advisories, and red warnings all across the northern area where the Shinkansen is terminating. So the huge question is if I'll even be able to get to Kyushu in the first place. And when I do get to Kyushu, then is there going to be enough of a trip? Because parts of the trip I'm heading to mountain sides. Lavaridge town is on the foothills of Mount Aso. I'm driving through cliff edges, mountain roads. This doesn't improve, I may have to cancel this entire trip. Hi everyone, welcome to the next leg of the Pokemon Hoenn adventure. And here I am in Dewford Town. It's actually an island, a very small one at that. It's a small island in the south of the Hoenn region, and it contains Brawler's Gym and Dewford Hall, which behind me is the Furiyai Dokoro, which is where people come to meet all different types of people, and that's what Dewford Hall is. It's a place where people spread trends and gather all the latest gossip in town, because it's a small community. You can even see it in the game. Now, the history of this place, Dewford Town, is in the real-world location of Tsushima, the bridge between Japan and the rest of continental Asia. And you could kind of imagine, for that reason, it's been a very strategic point of trade between countries and different cultures and all that. And it makes sense why Dewford Town would have a trendy hall where people come and gather and discuss the latest gossip of trends and what's going on in the Hoenn region. Well, there's really not much to say about Dewford Town, apart from it's a very beautiful island, Tsushima, for many reasons, more than Pokemon. You should really visit it. It really feels like a mini Korea inside Japan. There's a lot of people here, especially the tourists, are Korean. My hotel owner is Korean as well. Alright guys, there you have it, and welcome to Dewford Town. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's absolutely pouring. Pouring. Here I am, drinking sunset soda without the sun. Hey guys, so behind me here is Zenrin, which is the real-world analog of Devon Corporation. Here in Rustboro City, it's like the city of industry. And the real-world analog to the Devon Corporation is Zenrin. It's a company that is world famous, especially in Japan. It's a historic company that's been responsible for GPS systems, maps, navigation systems, and the in-game analog to that is the PokeNav system from Devon Corporation. So it's here right in the exact location of where Rustboro City is. And Rustboro City also contains the gym, which if you head inside in Horas, it really looks like a dinosaur museum. So I selected that as the Museum of Natural History, and I felt it was very fitting. And you can even take a look inside, have a lot of the exhibitions, special ones. Video filming is not allowed, so I wasn't able to film there, but I just wanted you to get a very good idea of the industrial nature of Rustboro City. Kitakyushu is home of steel industry and metalworking and all these things that you can really feel in Rustboro City. Even the name Rustboro, rust, comes from metal. So there you have it, guys. See you in the next stop, the Hoenn adventure. Just want to do a little vlog in the car. It was the first time I used a toll road, Kosukdoro, and it wasn't so bad actually. Most of it was just like 60 to 80 kilometers an hour, mostly because of the traffic. And I had a lot of experience riding on national routes, which is very similar to toll roads, except for the fact that you don't have a toll booth at the start of the interchange, and also you're not allowed to go faster than 60 kilometers an hour on normal ordinary roads, and they have traffic lights as well. The only tricky thing was checking into the gate and exiting, and that was fine, no problem. Honestly, I was very nervous. When I first got in the car, I just stopped and I was like, well, this journey's not going to continue if you're going to keep doing this. This car looks like it needs an oil change. I don't know. They don't really maintain these cars. Oh yeah, and also, when I was taking out the car, my original vehicle had a damaged tire. And the guy asked me, so where are you going to take this car? I was like, well, across Kyushu. Oh my god, that's very dangerous because this car has a damaged tire. And I was like, can't you get me another car? And he was like, alright, and such. I was just praying, oh my gosh, there's another hurdle that could have cancelled this entire trip. But honestly, I could have cancelled this entire trip just based on that. They didn't have another car. That's it. I'm basically. But thankfully, the guy came back and he said, yeah, we have another car, which is the exact same model, but instead of 2-litre engine, it's a 1.5-litre engine. I was like, fine, that's great. And he was like, we'll also refund the difference as well. Fine by me. But I don't think they actually take care of the cars very well, because clearly the tire needs changing, and even here the oil needs replacing. So there you have it, guys. Day 2 of the trip, where we really started getting on the road. I could see the countryside of Kyushu. It's going to be a pretty long week. I have a feeling.
Everyone, welcome back to the next stop of the Hoenn adventure. As you can see behind me, the weather is absolutely beautiful at day 3 of this trip. And yeah, I'm in the real world location of Fallarbor Town. In the game, Fallarbor Town is a small, tight-knit research community slash farm made up of peoples or scholars specifically who are researching about the meteor sites, and you can see little craters all around the town. I think the real-world analog to this location is Yufuin, which is a small farming community made up of thermal vents and hot springs and volcanic activity. There isn't such meteoric craters around this area, geographically speaking. But the route prior to Fallarbor Town, Route 114, contains these thermal vents, hot springs, which is very similar to the hells or jigoku of Beppu. And it really makes sense that it's kind of the general volcanic route northeast of Mount Aso. And although we don't really get to see much of the geography in the game, we really can get a sense that this is a very volcanic region based on the color of the area and also the type of culture that's available. So it's a research community based on rocks and stones and fossils and stuff like this. And so you can really see that kind of culture in Yufuin. But I also connected it with Beppu, which is the larger city here. You can see behind me here, Beppu Bay. Absolutely beautiful. It reminds me of Los Angeles, California a lot, you know. But anyway, having said that, it's absolutely beautiful stop on my adventure so far. And I recommend at least visiting, even if you're not interested in Pokemon. Like if your brother, sister, husband, wife is not interested, you can bring them along for a little holiday vacation in Beppu. Beautiful place. And stop over in the onsens, hot springs, hells. They call them hells. Really reminds me of Hawaii. The mountains, absolutely gorgeous. Look, have a look at this. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but the mountains over there, just it's like Hawaii, Diamond Head. There you have it, guys. I'll see you on the next leg. everyone. Welcome back to the next stop of the Hoenn adventure. And I'm here in Lavaridge Town, which is the real-world location of Kurokawa Onsen. Why Kurokawa Onsen? Well, to me, Kurokawa Onsen is a hot spring town that lies on the base of Mount Aso, which is the real-world version of Mount Chimney. And geographically, culturally, it's kind of similar. Lavaridge Town contains these onsens and tsunayu, which is the sand baths, which you see in the game. However, in the real world, you don't really see sand baths so far inland. It's more of a seaside thing. So I actually managed to do that more closer to Fallarbor town, actually. However, with all things said, if you see the anime version of Lavaridge Town, it's remarkably similar to Kurokawa Onsen, with the bridge and the trees and the river. Yeah, I really think it's based upon Kurokawa Onsen, minus Tsunayu. I think just for game mechanics-wise, or the purpose of the storyline and the design of the game world, it just made sense to put it more inland in Lavaridge Town. But in the real world, it just doesn't happen. It's more of a seaside thing. Anyway, this has been Lavaridge Town, guys. Enjoy the video, and I'll see you on the next stop. So I wanted to get video of Mount Chimney for you guys, and it's in that direction. Basically, it was the most difficult, I wouldn't say difficult, but it's the scariest ride or drive I've ever had in my life. Just immediately there was a thunderstorm. I could see it from the distance. And it was getting closer and closer, and then it started like a huge downpour just started just immediately. And then you can hear the roar, this huge thunderous roar. Oh my goodness. You know, I just regretted even coming to Takamori Treehouse because, you know, I didn't have to go there. It's not really necessary, but I just thought it'd be a laugh because it's kind of similar to Four Tree City. But that turned out to be a bad idea. So I'm just like, I'm going to stop in Lawson. Just absolutely traumatized from that. Mount Aso drive. Never again. Never again. Never again. everyone, welcome back to the next stop of the Hoenn adventure. And today I'm in Mauville City. And the interesting thing about Mauville City is that it's in Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald. It was an actual proper small town where trainers came and go serve as a hub of the Hoenn region. However, things changed slightly in Oras. Watson, the gym leader of Mauville City, actually managed to complete his redevelopment plan, which he failed in Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, but he managed to succeed in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. What this means is that he's managed to redevelop the entire city into an indoor city, essentially. And it's absolutely fantastic, this redevelopment project. Apparently, it was based upon Lumio's city in the Kalos region. And it's a very successful redevelopment project, which Watson, the gym leader, spearheaded. And the real-world location of Mauville City is actually Kumamoto. And the indoor city, which I think it's based upon Sakuramachi, which is this large department store, which was actually completed during the development period of Oras. So, having said that, it really looks very similar to Mauville City in Oras, Sakuramachi. It's not like a normal department store. It has gardens up the top floors, and it really does resemble it. And also, right next to Sakuramachi, which is meant to be Mauville City, is the largest television broadcasting network, NHK. It's literally, there's a huge NHK building right next to it. It's the name of Sakuramachi. And TV Mauville, or Mauville TV, operates in Mauville City. So it really lends to the idea that this really is the model of Mauville City, Kumamoto. Hey guys, welcome to this stop of the Hoenn adventure. Now, I'm in Four Tree City, Kobayashi, in Miyazaki Prefecture. Kobayashi in Japanese literally means little woods, and Miyazaki sounds very similar to Himawaki, which is the Japanese name for Four Tree City. The important thing is that treehouse communities don't really exist in Japan, let alone this part of Kyushu. So finding the actual real-world analog of Four Tree City, where you have these canopies and tree houses, doesn't exist. The closest thing that you can find is a place called Skimland inside Kobayashi City, which contains a suspension bridge and these small houses, but it's not really anything like what you see in the game. And actually, Skimland does coincide with the development period of Ruby and Sapphire because Skimland opened in 1988. So, it's very possible that the creators during their childhood went to Skimland and was influenced by that to include it in the game as Fort Tree City. There is one treehouse attraction that existed in the past, and that is Takamori Treehouse in Kumamoto Prefecture. It's actually an abandoned place right now, and I did visit it very briefly just to check it out. It's nowhere near Kobayashi or Miyazaki Prefecture. Geographically, it's just way off, but it's the closest thing that you could find in Kyushu, really. The other thing is in Disneyland, especially in Magic Kingdom, you can also find in Disneyland Tokyo, you have the Swiss family treehouse, which very much resembles what you see in Fort Tree City. And Disneyland Tokyo is a very popular attraction. It's almost every Japanese person has been there or been there at least once, multiple times. So it is very feasible that the developers were influenced by that and used it as inspiration for Kobayashi, which is a very tree-heavy city in Miyazaki Prefecture. A lot of people were suggesting on the internet that it could be Miyazaki City, but that's way too close to the shore. You can see Fort Tree City is surrounded by forests. There's no shoreline whatsoever in the game. So it's more likely that it is Kobayashi. Anyway, there's a tree in the background. This tree is all around me. Hope you enjoy what I've had to show you, even though there's no tree houses, unfortunately. But looking forward to the next stop. And until then, I'll catch you later, guys. See ya. Hey guys, welcome back to the next stop on this Hoenn adventure. And here I am in Lily Cove City. Now, Lily Cove City, if you look into the Hoenn world map, it looks like a small point on the, the eastern side of the region. And in the real world Kyushu, it would be the southern side. However, when you get to Lily Cove City, you can really see that it's actually the entire peninsula. You get the shoreline when you get to Lily Cove City. So it's actually not not a small town or a city, but rather representing the entire peninsula of Kagoshima. It's a bit like Fukuoka City in the Kanto region. It's actually representing the entire Minami Boso Peninsula rather than just Tateyama City. Having said that, behind me, you can see over there, wonderful volcano. Do you know what it is? It's Sakurajima, which is Mount Paya. Incredible, isn't it? It's identical in the game, in the anime. It's Mount Paya, Sakurajima. It's an active volcano as well, and you can see that it's currently spewing some ash. Another point about Lily Cove City is that it contains a department store, museum, lighthouse, all these things. However, there isn't really a large city in Osumi Peninsula that represents all of these things. So the only department store that I could find was one in Shibushi, on the northern side of the Lily Cove City Peninsula. And in that same city, Shibushi, you can also find a cultural artifacts museum, which was actually the only museum that I could find, which unfortunately doesn't have art gallery, which Lily Cove City does. But instead it has like archaeological excavated items of historical significance. So that was the best I could find. And another point is that to get to the other side of Kagoshima, you need to cross a ferry. Of course, in the game, you actually surf past Mount Paya. We're going to head to that direction and hopefully get an even better view of this incredible volcano. Another point I'd like to make about Mount Paya is that Team Magma might be lurking around, so hopefully we don't run into them. Or if the ground starts shaking, the volcano starts erupting, we know the reason. So I'm just waiting to board the ferry with the car, of course. I've never done anything like this before, so I didn't know what to expect. But somehow I've managed to pull this off. Today was always going to be the most difficult day in terms of distance and boarding the boat with the car. But somehow I managed to do it. I'm absolutely exhausted. Even like coming into Taramizu, I could really feel like my eyes were kind of burning. But you know what? After we get onto the ferry, it's pretty much smooth sailing, no pun intended. We're going to surf across and get to Kagoshima City and then check into the hotel, then I can rest. It's pretty much the day's finished. Hey everyone, welcome back to the next episode of the Hoenn adventure. And behind me is the Tanegashima Space Center, which is representing Mos Deep City Space Center. And here I am, actually in Mos Deep City, which is an island known for one thing, space research. Now in Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and especially Emerald, it plays a key role in the plot of the game, where Team Magma attempts to steal rocket fuel during the launch of the rocket. Also in the Delta episode in Oras, it plays a key role in the player going to space and meeting Deoxys, and also, the Mega Rayquaza going up to space. This is kind of how rockets launch as well. Rockets do actually launch, and this is an actual launch site for rockets and satellites, and it's been such since 1966, I believe, when it was first selected as the site in 1969, where they had the first test. And it's an absolutely beautiful island. You can see behind me. The weather is absolutely beautiful, clear. You can see why they would pick such a place, geographically speaking, for launching rockets. You need clear skies mostly, and the perfect place. In the Hoenn region, I think Tanegashima is a really, really strong model for Mos Deep City. And I remember even when I was in Kagoshima, there was a guy that said to me, this place is Mos Deep City. He just said it. So it's, even to the locals, it's very obvious. So, and even when you come here, you can clearly see that this is Mos Deep City because of the rocket launch site. Hi everyone, welcome back to the next stop of the Hoenn adventure. And behind me is Verdunturf Town. It's one of the smallest, quaint, peaceful towns in the Hoenn region. And actually, the reason why I chose this place, geographically speaking, it's spot on in the Hoenn Kyushu map 1-to-1 mapping strategy, where you just map it exactly once you rotate the Kyushu map. But also, it is said that Verdunturf Town is very famous for its clear, fresh air. And you can really feel that with the mountains and the countryside atmosphere here. Kikuchi is a very beautiful part of the Kumamoto prefecture, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just a breath of fresh air, just walking through here. It's so peaceful. It's also home to Wally, and you can imagine this young boy living in his hometown, who is supposedly a friend, not a rival, to you in the game. And you can feel that sort of peaceful, friendly atmosphere that your friend may live in such a place like this. Yeah, so this is just a very quick stopover because there's really nothing else to see, and I don't really want to take videos of people's private houses and stuff. But I just wanted you to get a sense of the general geography and what this area is like in the real world. So anyway, there you have it, guys. Verdunturf Town. Oh, another thing. Verd in French means green. It's a very green town. You can really see it in the game as well, and even here. Very green. Probably the greenest place that I've been to so far. So there you have it, guys. I'm out of breath. I'll see you in the next stop. Hey guys, welcome to the next stop of the Hoenn adventure. I'm a bit quiet because it's very quiet in here. There's almost nobody around. But speaking in hushed tones, I'm in Oldale City, and it's a place in Saga Prefecture. And this village in particular is famous for pottery, ceramics. You get these wind chimes. Basically, I chose Oldale Town to be this place in particular because also in Japanese it's called old and time, kotoki, which means old time, place stuck in time, frozen in time. This place has been frozen in history, preserving the ancient art of ceramics and pottery, which you can still get here. It's absolutely well preserved, this ancient village. And Oldale Town is one of the places that are maybe not so notable in the game, but you do get the sense that when you come to Saga Prefecture, it's not really the bigger cities like Saga City or something. It's in the Saga Prefecture, and I prefer it to be a town that kind of represents the spirit of the culture of Oldale Town, something that represents old and time. And I really feel that Okawachiyama really represents Oldale Town really well. It's like one of those places that just fits it like a glove. And there's a lot of tourists here. At the same time, it is extremely quiet, which is what I like. Don't like it too busy with people. But as you can see, it's an absolutely beautiful place. When I saw it, when I was researching, I just had to come here. I just knew this would be Oldale Town for me. So there you have it, guys. On this stop, we're in Oldale Town. And next, well, I'll see you in the next stop. Hey guys, welcome to the next stop of the Hoenn adventure, and here I am in Slateport City, this beautiful port city on the southern coast of the Hoenn region. And in the case of Kyushu, in the real world, it is on the east side, closer to China, which is why it is commonly agreed that this is the port of Nagasaki. And the reason, if you look at Slateport City, it contains Stern's shipyard, the SS Tidal, Oceanic Museum. All of these things have a very important naval maritime traditions. Even behind me, you can see the Mitsubishi shipyard, and there's a museum there as well. Not currently open, unfortunately, it's undergoing renovation. But Mitsubishi, the company, has a huge presence up in this part of Japan. And Nagasaki in itself is a very important port city which connected Japan to the outside world. And State Port is called a port where people connect together. So, you know, if you really think about Slate Port City as this harbour town similar to Vermilion City, it makes sense to link it to Nagasaki because it is also a harbour town. And Nagasaki historically contains the Dejima, which is the outside island where, you know, outside people, the Portuguese traders and all these European traders and missionaries came in, spreaded their culture. There's also a marketplace, and in Slateport City there's a market as well. So we'll be exploring a bit of that, and also there's this beautiful lighthouse as well, which we will explore. So beautiful weather today, and I hope you guys enjoy the videos, and welcome to Slateport City, guys. I hope we see Captain Stern somewhere. I'll see you on the next stop. Okay, another really cool thing is that I found the SS Tidal behind me. Do you remember Tsushima is the real-world location of Dewford Town, and if Nagasaki is Slateport City, SS Tidal travels from Slateport City to Dewford Town, Nagasaki to Tsushima. Here's the boat. Even said Tsushima on the side of the boat to confirm its destination. Interestingly enough, it also says Kitakyushu on it as well, which is Rustboro City. So this boat goes to Rustboro City and Dewford Town from Slateport City. Incredible. It's just little things like that you see in real life and you map it to the game's culture and the real world culture. It just blows your mind when you think about it. It's a really hot day today. Scorching. I'm sweating so much. So just a quick correction. I mentioned Portuguese traders in Dejima Island. It's actually Dutch, mostly Dutch and the Portuguese, but Dejima has that history of European traders. The point is, Slateport City is a port town which connects people from all around the Hoenn region, potentially the whole Pokemon world, but we don't know that. As far as the game is concerned, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Oras provides transportation via SS Tidal to various locations.
And fascinating enough, there is a boat that goes to Tsushima from Nagasaki. When I was researching this trip, I was convinced there is no boat that goes from Nagasaki to Tsushima. Otherwise, I would have taken that exact same ferry. But I guess maybe it's not a commercial boat, it's a private boat or special chartered boat that goes there. But even if would I? Because it's the long way. The more efficient way to Tsushima, Dewford Town is via Fukuoka, Hakata. So anyway, I'm loving Nagasaki. I actually a bit blue that this trip is ending, and also tomorrow I'm leaving Nagasaki. It's one of the best cities I've been to so far, I would say. Behind me is Slateport City Lighthouse, which is in the southern point of Nagasaki, Iojima Island. Or, if you want to be more technical, it's on the southern tip of Slateport City as well. Can't really find this kind of lighthouses in Nagasaki or Japan. It's kind of rare to find these. Most of them are breakwater lighthouses. I think that's what they're called. I'm not too familiar with this field, but I was personally surprised that I could find such a magnificent lighthouse.
Hey guys, welcome to the next stop of the Hoenn adventure. And here I am in the player's hometown, Little Root Town. Little Root Town is actually the real world location of Sasebo in the Nagasaki prefecture. Why Sasebo? Well, if you think about it, Sasebo is a waterfront location. I know what you're thinking. In the game, Little Root Town doesn't have any coastal areas or any water. But in the anime and the Pokemon anime TV series, Little Root Town is a waterfront location. It aligns really well to Sasebo. It even contains the train, which is very similar to the 817 series trains in Sasebo. It could possibly be based on the Sasebo line or the Kyushu line. So there's a very, very strong indication that it is Sasebo compared to all the other models for the towns and cities. It seems like that's what the creators of the anime and in the game is kind of alluding towards. It is in this general area, but we can pinpoint it very precisely to Sasebo. Little Root Town is the hometown for the players, and you know, I've been to Pallet Town and I've been to Newbark Town so far, and now Little Root Town. It really has this kind of similar half countryside, half bustling port town vibes. Hey guys, so lastly on this Hoenn adventure is Petalburg City. Petalburg City is the next city that you head to after Little Root Town, and it's the home of Norman and Caroline. Of course, the first gym leader, Norman, the first gym that you see in the game. The thing about Petalburg City is that it's in a place called Karatsu, but not exactly Karatsu City. It's like on the outskirts. It's a very small village, which you can see around me here. The reason why I say it is here is because if you look into the map of Petalburg City, you see two bodies of water. In the game world, they look like ponds or little lakes, but they're actually large weirs or dams. And if you map Kyushu exactly to the Hoenn world map, which is rotated 90 degrees, it maps perfectly. There are two weirs exactly in the same orientation, same position in this area, in Karatsu. And maybe it's a coincidence, but this phenomena is very rare. I've been looking at these maps for many years now, trying to find the perfect locations. And this one was a 1-to-1 match. So geographically, it's here. This is Petalburg City. And it makes sense because, you know, after Sasebo, the biggest cities are Karatsu, Imairi, which is Oldale Town, and Petalburg City. And the next after that is Fukuoka, which is Rustboro City, Kitakyushu. So I'll show you what these dams or weirs look like. They're very close by. Okay, so behind me is the Fujinodaira Dam. That's the first weir that you see in Petalburg City. And then we're going to head to the last weir. Thank you. really map that out and be convinced that this is Petersburg City. Okay, and behind me is the Shirokawauchi Dam, which is the second weir that you see in Petersburg City. Alright guys, so I'm gonna call this a day and start to head back. Lots of bugs around here and it's also getting dark and don't want to be in the countryside and I'm absolutely exhausted, so I'll see you then. everyone, welcome back to the Grand Poke Tour. And on our last step of the Hoenn adventure is the Pokemon League, which is located in Evergrande City, which is the final city which contains the Victory Road, 2 Pokemon Centers, and the Hoenn Pokemon League. And it's the last stop that people usually go to complete the game when you face the Elite Four. And the real world location is Okinawa. Okinawa is actually a very beautiful island in Japan, which is the southernmost island. And the slogan of Evergrande City is the paradise full of flowers, Pokemon, sea. Perfectly describes what Okinawa is. Okay, so there you have it, guys. Welcome to Evergrande City.
心の波が切符の端が震えるポケットの奥で小さな約束行き先教師は滲んだままで僕らは歩幅を合わせた血を奪いも与えもするけれど赤筋は境目を責めない揺らぎは風の振りにやり次のこと空へつなぐ新たな地平が開くこの場所で旅の終わりは次の始まり羅針盤は静かに君を指す I'll be waiting to see you again あの音が描く読み取れない物語山の色を映す優しい声の向こうへ少年だった僕は呼吸を数え名前を呼ばずに君を思った潮は奪いも与えもするけれど赤土は境目を責めない揺らぎは風の針にちゅら次の子空へつなぐ新たな地平が開くこの場所で旅の終わりは次の始まり羅針盤は静かに君を指す I'll be waiting to see you again 風を裂いて君を呼び走る雨に紛れ涙が落ち握りしめた手の温度を信じ二度と離さないと自分に誓う新たな地平が開くこの場所で旅の終わりは次の始まり羅針盤は静かに君を指す I'll be waiting to see you again 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 I will be waiting to see you again
「